Hi guys, this is my second video on water worlds. If you haven't watched the previous video, I will tag it below, you can watch it. And please share and subscribe to this channel. In this video, I want to explore further on potential life that may exist in our solar system. Let's get into it. There is possibly many oceans may exist in outer solar system, but there are presence we know in our own solar system. Some of the moons, for example, Enceladus and Europa, two of the moons, one in Saturn, which is Enceladus, and Europa is one of the Jovian moons orbiting the biggest planet on our solar system, Jupiter. Now, we have identified and scientists have actually measured how much water these two bodies may have. In addition to these two moons, scientists also have identified two of the other big Jovian moons, Ganymede and Callisto. These two moons have ice on the upper surface and probably a thick layer of or a large ocean underneath, maybe 150 kilometers underneath the surface of these two Jovian moons. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and there are roughly 95 officially recognized moons orbiting Jupiter by International Astronomical Union. However, there are four largest moons which are called Galilean moons like Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto. These four large moons, along with several satellites and rings, create a complex system which mirrors like its own solar system within our own solar system. The four largest moons like Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto were discovered by Galileo Galilei and are comparable in size and characteristics to the terrestrial planets that orbit our Sun. These four big moons orbit Jupiter under the same laws of gravity and the orbital motion that governs the planet in our solar system. These moons also are diverse in features such as volcanic activity on Io and potential subsurface oceans on Europa. In essence, Jupiter's moons, particularly the Galilean satellites, exhibit planetary-like characteristics and dynamics, making the Jovian system a compelling miniature version of our solar system. Now, let's focus on Ganymede and Callisto. Not all ocean worlds are born equal, and there are many characteristics that affect their chances of developing life. For instance, if we talk about the moon Callisto, it is one of the four moons that was discovered by Galileo in the 17th century. This moon is tidally locked to Jupiter. In other words, if you can stand, I know you cannot stand on Jupiter, but if you can stand, you will only see one side of the moon because it's tidally locked because of the immense gravity. And also, it is about 2.5 times smaller than our own planet Earth, and mostly created world in the solar system, and abundance of craters show that very little geological activity has occurred since its formation about 4.5 billion years ago. What we see today are the mostly unchanged surfaces formed billion years ago. Therefore, we have to remember one thing. There is not much volcanic or other activities within the surface of this moon. Callisto does not have a magnetic field that comes from within the moon itself, but it behaves as though it has a layer that conducts electricity, which could be consistent with a salty ocean. If this ocean exists, it is locked away 250 kilometers beneath the surface without any visible communication with it. An ecosystem developing in this ocean would have to rely solely on closed system where rock, ice, water, and heat interact to produce all essential elements of biology. This system may have depleted sooner than an ocean where communication with the surface exists. As of today, Callisto remains something of a mystery. Nevertheless, it could represent an extreme case in the spectrum of ocean worlds, and its exploration may teach us critical lessons on the limits of habitability and life in those environments. Now, let's move to the largest moon in our solar system, Ganymede. The largest because it has the diameter of 5,266 kilometers and very massive moon of the solar system, and its fascinating world with metallic core, an internal ocean, and an icy crust. After Galileo mission, the Juno spacecraft returned data from the giant moon in 2021 as it flew only 1,000 kilometers away from its surface. But the best evidence came about the subsurface ocean did not come from planetary probes though. It came from our own Hubble telescope in 2015, where the only moon known to have magnetic field which causes aurorae to form water and icy crust. Because the moon orbits so close to the giant, it is also caught on Jupiter's magnetic field as well, whose fluctuations affect the development of the aurorae. And no effect would be detected if the moon did not have an ocean. So that was the confirmation. Instead, astronomers using Hubble noticed a rocking motion of the aurorae, evidence that something was fighting back against Jupiter's magnetic field, unlike Callisto. Therefore, Ganymede has plenty of water, magnetic field, and a source of energy generated by tidal heating that triggers tectonic activity. Now the big question is this enough to develop life? There are still too many open-ended questions to say whether life had a chance on Ganymede. First, we need a better understanding of its ocean characteristics and structure, topography, and the nature of the layers that confine it in the subsurface, and its depth. Additional data may help to determine the possible communication pathways between the ocean and the surface. At this point, there is no clear evidence that such pathway exists. I want to keep this video short, therefore let me conclude this, but my next video will continue with other icy moons. ESA, that is the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer by European Space Agency. The mission is already launched as of April 2023. It is planning to spend 3 years exploring Jupiter and its system to focus on the study of Ganymede as a potential habitat for life. JUICE will also provide additional information about Callisto and Europa as part of the comparison between Galilean moons, as more evidence is needed to build a solid case for habitability. Meanwhile, other icy worlds will continue to lengthen the list of potential candidates, including most recently Mimas, a moon of Saturn, and Titan, and Enceladus, and even moons that are hidden in the Uranus system. So please stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share and subscribe if you haven't. See you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.